Hey there guys and girls, Red-Rupee here with you as always. Got another one for you. I know I haven't been posting as many games as I'd like, only been doing a few a week, but I've been very busy at work right now. As you can see on the bottom of my page, I work at Big Huge Games, been working on Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. Big open world fantasy action RPG, so hey, if you were a big fan of Dawn of War Soulstorm, which was the last expansion of the first Dawn of War game, we've got Ann Fraser and Ben Schneider who were leading up design on that game, working on this one as well, so little trivia for you there. I'll put up a little link so you can check out their YouTube page here. Anyways, that's a little bit of shameless self-promotion from me. Let's go ahead and get into the game for you now. We've got Dullahan here playing as our Imperial Guard Inquisitor, and then we've got Lobo, the Noob Slayer, as our Orky Mekboy. So we're on Leviathan Hive. Let's get this one on the road. Of course, we got the two victory points on the bottom half of the map and the contested VP in the center. A couple power nodes on either side. And as you can see, this map's just been tyranniformed to all hell. So let's take a look at the opening cap orders. Looks like both players are going straight for their power, all four power nodes being taken right out of the gate. Power being the big priority so far. And it looks like Dullahan is going for a triple Imperial Guardsman build. Not opting to get that Sentinel against Orc, I suppose. Not as effective against Orc, I feel, with even two big shooters, and especially if a third is out. But since the Mekboy is here, he's essentially a third on his own. Can really drop that Sentinel before it can really get in and get a stomp. And as you can see, the Inquisitor comes with her own stun out of the gate. So, not as much need for the Sentinel. The Triple Guardsman going to provide a lot of map control and plenty of firepower for these Orcs. Anyways, we can see Lobo, the Noob Slayer, has gotten himself a couple shooter boys in the meantime. And the Mekboy is just kiting around back and forth, sharing some shots and slashes with this Inquisitor. Of course, I'd like to note she's wearing the very cool Death Corps of Krieg skin with her army. Meanwhile, the two natural VPs have been captured, and we'll see where this goes for the Triple Guardsman for Dullahan. Meanwhile, taking a look at power, looks like all four of the nodes have been popped. No one's risking losing their power points right off the bat anyways. They went out of their way to capture those quickly, so obviously have some intent to do something with those. You can see the Inquisitor spending that power right off the bat. Oh my goodness, the Mekboy just teleported in with some electric armor right into that pile of guardsmen. They're going to have to get out of there. Actually, it looks like one of the piles is stuck in there pretty well. Just managed to barely get out of there with only one or two members remaining. So both players got those power farms immediately to get some war gear on their respective commanders. The Mekboy getting the electric armor, as we just saw, going to be very effective against this Triple Guardsman build. And the Inquisitor getting herself the crossbow bolt pistol, giving her the crippling volley, which does a little damage over time and immobilizes the squads under that area of effect. We can see the Inquisitor stuck around for a bit too long and fell right in the first encounter, so that's going to be a bit of a hit to Dullahan. Dullahan now getting also a heavy weapons squad to try to deal with these Orcs. Beyond that, we can see that Lobo's gone ahead and dropped 3 of his generators. Meanwhile, Dullahan obviously not going to be a little behind on that because choosing to get the heavy weapons squad as support and then immediately buying back the Inquisitor is going to delay those generators for a little while. So probably going to have to get a gen bash in here if Dullahan wants to catch up on that power. And let's see what happens next. Pretty good map control in favor of Lobo. Curious he didn't try to push in on this power. Fallen back a little bit. Orcs are generally an aggressive race, but saving that power for something else, I suppose. Heavy weapon squad setting up right in the middle here. Always a good spot. Brings in a nice choke right into the center and is in position to turn out and defend the power farm if necessary. Meanwhile, the guardsman squads are starting to move in as well. Looks like Lobo built an additional generator, really going to be pushing the power now. Mekboy teleports in with the electric armor again, but right into the range of fire of that heavy weapon squad, unfortunately, and has to get the heck out of there. So you can see a lone shooter boy squad is going to find itself rather out of position against the heavy weapons team and two of these guardsman squads. The heavy weapons team setting up behind for support. These guardsmen moving in to melee, it looks like, but I don't actually think they'll win that fight. Probably just trying to tie up. Yep, they do have to get out of there. Bought a little time for the Inquisitor to get into position, though. And now they're going to be in a bit of trouble. He needs to retreat very quickly or risk losing that squad. Here comes the Hammer of the Witches. Oh, and it does not go off, but it looks like Crippling Volley was casted, and that was a pretty lucky break for Lobo right there. Lobo already pushing into Tier 2. Very quick tech for him. And it looks like Dullahan's going to get a chance to get a gen raise in here. Unless this Mekboy and his sluggers can do something about it.
So the generator is online.
Looks like Dullahan's finally managed to bring his own generators up to speed here. And sluggers have gotten upgraded with flamers, which will, again, any kind of AoE damage is, of course, very effective against guardsman squads. And this way, when they try to kite the slugger boys, they'll at least be able to do some AoE damage as they chase. You can see excellent positioning on this suppression gun. Mekboy is going behind and engaging in melee and hitting them with that electric armor some more. Really seeing that be used effectively so far this match. But there is a flamer squad on his power. The shooter boys now with big shooters are going to come out here and probably try to save this farm if they can. But I don't think they're going to be in time. He's at least going to lose one or two generators here. Needed to move those shooter boys up a bit sooner. Kind of had him sitting at his base there for a little while. And Lobo getting himself a weird boy, while Dullahan goes ahead and pushes into Tier 2. You can see the Crippling Volley again used. This Flamer squad is just barely out of range, I think, of those big shooters. And the whole power farm does fall. So that should bring Dullahan back up to speed as far as the tech race goes. Definitely getting back some of that requisition that was lost in attrition from losing his Inquisitor so quickly in the first engagement. Inquisitor grabbing a little heals back at base. And Lobo the Noob Slayer getting ready to push this map back. You can see victory points are about even so far at 400 to 416. And Lobo's going to be able to take back this contested point, I think, and start going ahead and bringing that back into his favor. At this point, Lobo's in a great position to power bash. Now that heavy weapons squad got forced off, and he does have his weird boy. But it looks like he's just going to hang back. Again, I feel not quite being aggressive enough with all his orky prowess, and needs to get that weird boy up to the stage here so he can help deal with these guardsman squads. Hammer of the Witches goes off and does deter the Mekboy from finishing the cap on that contested victory point. Again, not sure why Lobo isn't moving in. All he's doing is giving time for Dullahan's heavy weapons squad to get back into position here. Looks like he's finally decided to commit. But there goes the Crippling Volley again. And oh my gosh, a Hell Fury Valkyrie strike. That will certainly deter an Orc army, especially under the effects of Crippling Volley and not being able to move or get out from under that Prometheum fire that is dropped by that Valkyrie. Meanwhile, the Weird Boy, two boys, Weird and Mech, hanging out over here. Not really engaged in the fighting. I think he should probably try to get him in there and start doing something. The Inquisitor's pretty low, could probably cause some damage. He does take a shot, in good position at least to defend the victory point. and scare off those guardsmen. You can see lots of guardsmen getting splatted there by his default attack, and a warp vomit again. The Weird Boy, just an excellent tool for dealing with Imperial Guard. Pretty much all of his abilities are just AoE, knockback, you know, disruption, whatever, what have you. And looks like a Manticore's on the field. Here comes the missiles raining down from the sky, knocking over the Weird Boy. The Shooter Boys did manage to get out of there, and it looks like the Mekboy is going to go try to capture a victory point, but he is being tailed by some guardsmen and decides to get out of there while he can. You can see a sergeant's been upgraded on this heavy weapons squad, so even the Weird Boy's ranged attack will not interrupt and knock them over. And he's going to have to get out of there before he loses any more health. Hopefully, yep, Lobo was watching. I was concerned there briefly that he was not. And Lobo now going straight into Tier 3. Meanwhile, the Slugger Boys are moving on in here. Curious that Lobo's going to Tier 3 so quickly. Oh no, the suppression gun of Dullahan got set up just in time to protect him from those sluggers. It was pretty low. If they'd gotten in there, it was probably going to be it for that squad, but he did manage to get it up very quickly. The Manticore now being used to go ahead and keep this power to a minimum. Again, raising this power farm for the second time now. And the Inquisitor now upgrading the Excruciators, which will give her another ability to keep a squad still. Probably just going for the synergy with this Manticore now.
Do we have a target, sir?
Being able to hold the squad still and then pound them with missiles from afar is definitely an excellent synergy with the Imperial Guard Inquisitor. A Chimera also being purchased onto the field. The Mekboy is probably going to have to switch from that triple Daka into a beamy def gun to help deal with that vehicular threat. At this point, the heavy weapons team is just being kept in the back to support the guardsmen in case the sluggers move in. And the Weird Boy here now, wasting a warp vomit unfortunately, and getting those Shooter Boys out of range of that Manticore strike.
The victory point is slipping away.
You can see in 3.18, Weird Boy projectiles are supposed to be ignoring terrain, but unfortunately it looks like they aren't quite doing that. Oh no, there's another missed shot. Very unfortunate. That was 3 in a row that didn't really amount to anything there. And you can see Guardsmen now raising Lobo's secondary power farm as well. There goes the zap right on top of that Inquisitor. And you can see the Excruciators assailing the Weird Boy now. Reckless being popped on the Slugger Boys. They are going to... Oh no, a Manticore strike saved that heavy weapon squad perhaps. The Shooter Boys, or Slugger Boys rather, very, very injured. That heavy weapon squad did get out of there despite the zap being over top of it. And a nice shot by the Weird Boy right into a pile of guardsmen. He's probably going to have to retreat that squad. It looks like some stormtroopers are being called in by the Inquisitor as well. And leaving these squads on the field because there is a Chimera that will surely come up to reinforce it. But oh no, the Mekboy teleported in with electric armor and took out that squad. I'm sure Dullahan was planning to reinforce that with the transport, but the Mekboy snuck in and did them in, zapped them on into oblivion.
Looks like our requisition finally.
Meanwhile, we can see the stormtroopers decide to get their assault kit instead of the ever so common melta kit, so that should be interesting. The assault kit, of course, got a bit of a cost increase, but also got a buff in the form of the stormtroopers don't take additional damage and also have a 20% higher damage output as well. There's the assail followed by the Manticore strike. That, in combination with either assail or the crippling volley, either way, pretty much forces you to get off the field if you don't want to lose that squad.
We're standing by here.
Commandos are now on the field as well with a Knob leader. So they should probably be able to hunt down that Manticore with relative ease at this point. But Lobo does need to get his units back out to the field as soon as he can. He is down by about 130 victory points right now, 382 to 250. And unfortunately, this choke point right here is just not working against Dullahan. You can see he's trying to maneuver that Chimera in, but his men are all trying to path around each other, and to no avail, unfortunately. Oh, that zap is just shredding through Imperial Guardsmen, and Daka with the burner bomb. I'm not sure, it looks like a Guardsman squad went down there. There's only one Guardsman squad left for Dullahan, unfortunately. Between that and the electric armor, that was all she wrote for those two Imperial Guardsman squads. Looks like these commandos are trying to get a shot at this Chimera, but not quite pulling it off. Oh, and there's an excellent Hell Fury strike. You can see he pulled the assault stormtroopers right into the Chimera as he dropped it and forced those commandos right off the field. Although the Mekboy does have his beamy def gun now, so he's going to be able to make short work of that Chimera if Dullahan isn't careful. There's a nice shot by the Weird Boy, and the sluggers are moving in now. I think that Chimera is dead. There it goes, another excellent shot. Stormtroopers now stuck in there. The crippling volley again with the Manticore, just forcing squads off of the field left and right. Really good play with both of those abilities being able to stop a squad in its tracks, combined with that Manticore. Lobo really needs to do something about that to keep his map presence going. The victory points are still ticking away, and Lobo's just trying his damnedest to hold on to his power at this point. Oh, unfortunately, the Weird Boy again just hitting the ground. That was supposed to be addressed in the 3.18 patch, but it doesn't look like it's been handled too well. A nice warp bomb that's going to go ahead and finally cut off the fire from that heavy weapon squad, and he's going to move in and start getting a couple more blasts off there. Unfortunately, the Manticore is ready to fire yet again. You can see that Manticore just hanging out in the back, safe and sound, right where it belongs, reloading some missiles there. I'm not sure where they come from. Maybe they get warped in, and that's why they appear with a blue haze. So you can see right now, Lobo having a sizable force, not really doing too bad here ultimately. Took out two of Dullahan's Imperial Guardsman squads, but really that Manticore combined with the Inquisitor's abilities is just putting a stop to any kind of push he tries to make. Dullahan's been doing an excellent job of keeping him under wraps. We can now see Ogrins coming onto the field, and Lobo still hanging out in Tier 3. Not much wreck to spare right now, after trying to rebuild this power farm so many times. Here comes yet another crippling volley, and there's the Manticore shot, of course, right away. And if you take note, always take note of the spread on these Manticore missiles. I know a lot of people tend to just find their target and click really quickly to get those Manticore shots in. But you should really try to get a good spread on that, because any player that's paying attention will see that flare and spread out. So just try to keep those missiles, maybe one in the center, and then focus the rest around the edge to where you think your opponent's going to attempt to dodge to. It looks like Lobo's finally managed to get some PBs back here, but he is suppressed by this heavy weapons team. Well, Weird Boy finally got a shot and knocked him over, but he needs to be very careful. Guardsmen are up top here. That warp bomb, it did manage to take him out, but these Ogrins are closing in. He sees that right away and wants no part of it. He's going to go ahead and get the heck out of there while he can. Slug is not going to be able to take on those Ogrins on their own. Ogrins being super heavy infantry and big and nasty heavy melee.
We are winning this one, sir.
Again, using a Manticore strike simply for no other reason than to blast this power. I'm not sure how many generators Lobo's gone through this game, but unfortunately, just been losing his farm left and right. Here goes a big attack right now. You can see the battery pack has been purchased. An excellent use of Avataste, and he's going to try to at least get at one or two of these Ogrins off the field with his Slugger boys, but he has to be very careful. Actually, it looks like he got 2-3 of the Ogrins with only the one Slugger knob remaining. That needs to be very careful, though. It is extremely low. Oh, excellent use of Call the Boys. You can see the knob went down just as the rest of the Sluggers moved in. And unfortunately, he's walking right in front of these Assault Kit Stormtroopers and the heavy weapons team. He needs to get this Death Dread that he just purchased, interestingly enough, onto the field. You would think an Orc in Tier 3 would be rushing right into the knobs or the looted tank. But not unfortunately, but curiously, Lobo's gotten himself a Death Dread instead. A pretty good choice, all things considered. Dullahan not really having any anti-vehicle options, either going to force this heavy weapons squad into a las cannon, which won't be able to suppress his orcs anymore, or Dullahan's just going to hope to use those Ogrins to take that vehicle out because his stormtroopers have been upgraded to the assault kit. The Death Dread, of course, getting the burner upgrade. Burners and bits right off the bat will give plenty HP, and the burners as well. At this point, I'm not sure why Lobo hasn't attempted to take out this Manticore. He has an excellent anti-vehicle platform. I'm pretty sure the Mekboy could just equip his beamy def gun right back, and either one or two shots at this Manticore will take it out, especially if he were to manage to get behind it. He also, of course, has commandos with a knob that could take it out relatively quickly if they just cloaked in and hunted it down. That's really the only thing that's preventing him from taking more of the map and taking out Dullahan's generator farms and everything else is this Manticore. Because I'm sure we'll see plenty more times throughout the game this Inquisitor is going to go in, drop a crippling volley or an assail, and then drop the Manticore right on the immobilized squad. Some people call it cheese, but you can't deny the fact it's strategy. The Inquisitor is equipped with a dazzling array of obnoxious abilities to keep your army on the ground and out of control. So it looks like Guardsman squad is going to go ahead and move in. A burner bomb falling on that. Hopefully Dullahan is keeping an eye. Yep, there's Love the Daka as well. And I think that's the end for that Guardsman squad, unfortunately. Oh my goodness. That was a quick and painless end. Although Dullahan does get revenge by taking out Lobo's high-level Slugger Boys there. I'm sure after taking out those Ogrins and so many Guardsmen, they were at least level 2 or 3. You can see both the Shooter Boys are now level 4 as well, but getting another Hell Fury strike on top of them is going to force them right off. The Ogrins are in a deathly brawl with this Death Dread, but unfortunately it falls while 2 Ogrins still remaining. He did hit Cult of Speed, hoping to increase its attack speed and take out those Ogrins, but it was a bit too little too late. The Death Dread was also already very low on HP. I think if the Mekboy tries to follow, he might be able to take out this Inquisitor. Oh, but the heavy weapons squad did turn around just in time and deter that possibility. Another burner bomb right on top of the squad, followed by Love the Daka. That's the bread and butter combo of the Commando squad. Looks like it's just going to get out of there. Mekboy probably can teleport. There he goes, trying to finish off that squad. Just a few HP. There it goes. That's it for him, but the Mekboy needs to get out of there. He does not. The Assault Kit Troopers have dropped him very quickly, and he at least knows where that Manticore is. It really hasn't moved. He should be keeping track of that and really just needs to get down there and deal with that. A little bit of friendly fire on Dullahan's own Ogrins from that most recent Manticore strike. And both players down under 200 victory points now. Unfortunate loss of Slugger Boys for Lobo there after destroying the last of Dullahan's Imperial Guardsman squads. Lobo now purchasing himself some Storm Boys. I'm not sure why that is. He's got plenty of wreck. I feel like he could have grabbed the knobs if he had wanted. But we'll see what his plan is. Perhaps the Storm... I'm not actually sure. Maybe Storm Boys can jump out of Crippling Volley or Assail. But you can see Assail is no longer an issue because now the Inquisitor is upgraded to Purgatus armor, which gives the Purgatus ability, which is of course the giant ring of flame that damages and stuns anything in the outer ring. Inquisitor just barely getting out of there with her life, going for that Assail and Crippling Volley, I'm sorry, and again with the Manticore strike. Another Hell Fury strike over on the Commandos, but they did manage to prevent the Guardsman squad from decapping that final victory point. that Lobo does own.
Stormtroopers
With his
report,
points
sir.
ticking down, he needs to get back out on the map and do something
Stormtroopers
about these
reporting
Ogrins, and
The
really,
Inquisitor's
among
gear
other
is-
things, he needs to stop that Manticore. I
Sir, our advantage-
really want to see him just grab that beamy def gun and take the Mekboy down there and handle that situation with a quick shot or two.
You know we're ready.
You can see Dullahan's trying to hunt for these commandos, but they did manage to evade him. He probably figures they're going for the victory point, but they've juked up and around and are probably going for the contested point up top. Dullahan has managed to buy enough time to get into Tier 3, and it has quite a bit of power and wreck. Probably going to be getting a Lemon Russ, or possibly saving up for a Bane Blade or something along those lines. We'll see, of course. Oh, you can see Lobo was, in fact, finally tired of dealing with... that was interesting. I'm not sure why those commandos flew over after getting stunned by Pregatus. But they managed to almost take out that Manticore, but the Inquisitor managed to intervene. And the Ogrins now charging into battle, realizing they're not going to be able to handle all those orcs on their own. They go ahead and get out of there. And the Shooter Boys and Weird Boy now heading back to try to prevent this cap of this victory point. Storm Boys jumping in on the Inquisitor. I'm not sure if they're going to take her out, though. They really just need to probably capture that victory point now.
Sir, power node's been
This
targeted.
Manticore is very low. I
Do we
just...
have a target, sir?
Oh man, do I want to see that thing die.
Target, sir.
Here comes another shot, and this is why Lobo just really needs to do something about that. I know I keep repeating that, but my goodness, it has cost him so many units and so many retreats.
Machine is ready.
Storm Boy's taken off of the victory point for
Sir,
some
the
reason right
advantage
there.
is ours.
Oh, they did go back and decide to capture it. And there's the Lemon Russ on the field for Dullahan. Now some heavy armor that Mekboy is going to need to change back to that beamy def gun one way or another at this point.
We are ready
And
to
the Manticore getting a quick patch-up job by Dullahan's last remaining guardsman squad.
We are ready to proceed, sir.
Stormtroopers here. Orders.
Nob's finally coming onto the field after Lobo rushed to Tier 3 so quickly. We're finally seeing one of those big mean Tier 3 orc units. Pregatus fired a little prematurely. That Inquisitor's in a bit of trouble, but luckily that crippling volley saved her. And the rocks being dropped on the Lemon Russ and Ogrins, but they managed to get out of there. Just barely, unfortunately, for Lobo. And the Weird Boy managed to go ahead and put some hurt on the Stormtroopers and are taking back the bottom point here. Really still anyone's game at this point. I think the Lemon Russ needs to be dealt with.
Go ahead.
You can see Dullahan got one set of plated armor and now purchasing a second, really hoping to keep that Lemon Russ on the field for the rest of the game. The Ogrins retreating at the sight of the Knobs, already upgraded with meaner and greener, of course, giving them the frenzy ability so they can go invulnerable for a short time. Knobs now in 3.18, no longer level, but they do have some slightly cheaper upgrades, and Frenzy was also reduced a great deal in red cost, I think from 75 to 35 or 45.
Sir, that's 100 points.
Weird Boy did have to get out of there, forced off by the Lemon Russ. And Lobo, there he is, the Mekboy with the beamy def gun, ready to deal with that Lemon Russ once it shows its face again. Commando Knobs infiltrating to move forward and scout the area out ahead.
That upgrade isn't
Always good to
complete
do
yet.
if you have a unit capable of infiltrating is check out the enemy position first. Looks like Dullahan did spot it unfortunately and drops the crippling volley. Gonna go ahead and engage them in melee so he can see them and use the Lemon Russ to force them off the field. Lobo really needs to work on an anti-vehicle counter right here. Just not quite being aggressive enough with his Mekboy, I feel. Looks like Dullahan isn't watching this squad. He retreats at the last second, but it's too late. It does fall to the two Shooter Boy squads. That is the last of Dullahan's Imperial Guardsmen. I think that's either the third or the fourth squad to fall now at this point. I believe that was the fourth. The Inquisitor is going to fall. She does go down. She did manage to capture the point at the last second, so that worked out. You can see both players under 100 points now, so it's really crucial. They're sacrificing whatever they can to keep those VPs. The Assault Kit's Stormtroopers and the Lemon Rust tank are really hammering these knobs, though. Looks like they're not going to be able to take that out. You can see the Assault Squad is level 3 now, so those hotshot rifles are really doing some damage at this point. You can see the range on them is very nice. The Assault Kit certainly, with this patch now, I think is a much more viable option. The Lemon Rust is now in range of the Mekboy's Beamy Def Gun. Managed to take out all of the extra armor. That Weird Boy does have to get out of there, though. Got a little low there. And a Manticore shot hitting that Mekboy, knocking him right on his back. You can see just pretty solid armies for both people right now. A second Manticore now on the field for Dullahan. I guess realizing once Lobo has not bothered to track down the first, that a second would not be a bad idea. It looks like the Mekboy fell right there. Needed to get out from under. Oh no, and the Commandos. A pretty brutal loss there. Lobo has to play very carefully at this point to keep the map in his favor. Shooter Boy's down here, unfortunately under a Hail Fury strike. Not sure if he realizes it though. Looks like they're just sitting there. Not good at all. You can see Bomber Boy's knocking over those Stormtrooper squads. That was enough intimidation to force the retreat. Those Shooter Boys... Oh no! Ogrins are coming in behind. Lobo, wake up! Your Shooter Boys are in trouble. No, there they go. The first squad shot down and the last mob just pummeled to death by those Ogrins. Meanwhile, the Lemon Rust kiting around some mob squads. That was... Oh, these last couple minutes have been brutal for Lobo. It went from a very much even game in anyone's favor, and now I'm pretty sure Dullahan has it. Lobo just lost several squads. 4 of them total, I believe. The 2 shooter squads, the Storm Boys, and the Commandos, not including his heroes. So, really a last-second turnaround here for Dullahan. You can see the last couple points ticking away here. Unfortunately, the knobs are hammering these Ogrins, but it's not going to be enough. Oh, there we go. Looks like Lobo surrendered, and that's going to be the game. Really just a surprise turnaround there. Went from instantly to a very close game to just completely in Dullahan's favor. The Inquisitor being used to just excellent effect as far as keeping control of the map and keeping Lobo off the field with her immobilization abilities combined with the Manticore. And you can see the happy Ogrins firing their guns up into the air because they're certainly not shooting at the knobs at that angle. And the game winner right here, I think, the Lemon Rust. Lobo seemed to get a bit flustered once that came onto the field and sort of lost a bit of his unit awareness. And just was unable to deal with that, combined with Dullahan's other units. And really, the Manticore just repeatedly smashed Lobo, even though Lobo had the tools to deal with it. I think excellent, a Mekboy teleport right into this thing's face at any given time. He was just keeping it with his Orc squad and not being terribly aggressive with it. So, anyways, that's the game. Well played by both sides. Excellent turnaround by Dullahan at the end. And I will catch you guys next time.